Hattiesburg, and a pleasant day to all our listeners. This is Abby, your host for Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. I'm here to bring you updates, news, and more from our community. To add to all the excitement today, we have Mississippi Moments with Johnny Balser and a news wrap with Subi Lama to ensure you're up to date with all the hottest topics. And guess what? We have a very special guest for you today, Tessa Lichtenhahn with the Coalition Against Human Trafficking. You definitely want to stay tuned for what they have to share with us today. But before we jump into all the fun, here's a quick message from our sponsor. So hang tight, we'll be right back with more Southern Miss Today.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mr. Sippy Beverages. Mr. Sippy Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mr. Sippy Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mr. Sippy Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. In campus news, this week is homecoming week. Each fall, we celebrate the spirit of homecoming through numerous festivities. Activities began on Monday and will go through Saturday, October 19th. Events include a golf tournament, Friday night at Spirit Park, a homecoming parade, pre-game festivities, and a game against Arkansas State. Today's activities include Where's Waldo, Pints for Blood Drive, Pack the School Bus Supply Drive, and the 26th Annual Alumni Homecoming Scholarship Golf Tournament, as well as a karaoke contest. The parade will be on Saturday at 1 p.m. For the parade route, check out the homecoming page on USM's website. Be sure to check out any and all events to get into school spirit. Also in campus news, the Art and Design program will be having their open house on Friday, October 18th. The event will be a full day of visual arts activities and lessons about degree opportunities in the visual arts. The event is for anyone from high schoolers to people that are just interested in visual arts degree. There are opportunities such as touring the facilities, question sessions, meeting faculty and staff, faculty presentations, hands-on art activities, art exhibitions, and provided lunch and breakfast. The open house will take place Friday, October 18th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. In Hattiesburg news, gas prices have changed in the last week. The prices have gone up from last week due to Florida evacuating and recovering from Hurricane Helene, then Hurricane Milton. There are hopes of prices going back down as teams work to restore roads, repair power lines, and replenish gas stations. The average Mississippi gas price is $2.75 and has increased by 10 cents over the past week. However, prices have decreased by 45 cents since last year. Hopefully, Florida gets restored and gas prices return to normal. In Mississippi news, the new superintendent Lance Evans announces his belief that if private schools receive public money, then they should be held to the same educational standards as public schools. He believes that if private schools use money that is for the public, then private schools must be subject to the same exact assessment as public schools. He believes that regardless of whether the school is public or private, that students should have all equal access to education. Evans started this because he sees the unfairness of private schools using the money that should be going to public schools but still being very exclusive about who attends their schools. In national news, the Grand Egyptian Museum is partially open to the public. The opening of the museum has been highly anticipated for a while. The museum houses the world's largest collection of ancient Egypt artifacts. The building has been more than 20 years in the making and sprawls over 120 acres. It is located near the pyramids of Giza and will showcase more than 100,000 objects, including treasures from King Tut's tomb. His items have yet to be displayed, but visitors can still see various statues, sarcophagi, and mummified bodies. The museum was originally scheduled to open 2012, but due to cost, political issues, and COVID, it was delayed. The partial opening is a trial run for following years, opening the main hall and stairway. There is not an official opening date yet. That's your news for Southern Miss Today. Next, we'll have the latest in sports, weather, and so stay tuned. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mr. Sippy Beverages. Mr. Sippy Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mr. Sippy Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mr. Sippy Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back with our action-packed sports segment. Let's dive into the latest scores, highlights, and sports. Get your jerseys on because it's game time. Our next football game, the homecoming game, will be against Arkansas State this Saturday, October 19th. Go Eagles! Today, Thursday, October 17th, and Friday, October 18th, the women's volleyball team will be playing against South Alabama. Also on Friday, track and field will be at the Crimson Classic. On Saturday, October 19th, the men's golf team will be playing at the Fallen Oak Golf Club. Head to southernmiss.com to keep up with the Golden Eagle sports activities. As for weather today, look for a low of 45 with a low chance of rain and a high of 70. The feels like for today is 38 to 73 degrees. Tomorrow, look for a low of 49 and a high of 74 with a low chance of rain. Tomorrow's feels like is 42 to 74 degrees. Up next, we have Mississippi Moments, produced by the Center for Oral History and Cultural Heritage, with Johnny Balzer talking about his time as a photographer. Check it out.
This is Mississippi Moments, produced by the Center for Oral History and Cultural Heritage at the University of Southern Mississippi and supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council. I'm Bill Ellison. After working 10 years at the Macomb Railroad Maintenance Shop, Johnny Balser decided to become a photographer. He remembers Illinois Central became a steady customer after he opened his studio.
I had 10 years service with the railroad, and then when Tom Casey, who was head of the Louisiana Southern Division, wrote me a certified letter inviting me to stay with the railroad, and that we're now out of steam and we're moving into diesel, and he's going to send me to diesel school, and I will be trained and I will be a supervisor somewhere on the system. I turned it down. I wanted to be a photographer, so that's what I did. I did a lot of pictures for the railroad. I mean, a lot of them. It was a lot of things when they'd win like a safety award. If they had a record of no accidents over a period of a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, well, boy, I had to take pictures of that. And they wanted that published in the IC magazine and that sort of thing. Any kind of an accident that they wanted recorded, I went down and took pictures for them. So I still work for the railroad.
Bill Ellison hosts Voices of Our People, World War II, a new podcast from Mississippi Moments, sponsored by the Mississippi Humanities Council. That's Voices of Our People, World War II, wherever you get your podcasts.
That was your Mississippi Moment for today. Coming up, we have the pleasure of hearing from Tessa Lichtenhahn.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online. Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277, and the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Now, please give a warm Golden Eagle welcome to Tessa. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I am a second-year social work student at the master's level, and I am also the president of the Coalition Against Human Trafficking this year, and I'm really grateful that I'm on the air with you this morning.
We are too. Thank you so much. Could you give us some information about the organization that you're putting on this event for?
Yes, absolutely. So the Coalition Against Human Trafficking is a student group, but it's open to the community. And we exist as a way to help educate the public and our campus community about human trafficking, and also to engage in some advocacy around it. On campus and outside of campus, and that's a lot of what I'm here to talk about today.
Awesome. Could you explain the mission and core objectives of the Coalition Against Human Trafficking?
Absolutely. I really think that's it. It's to educate and it's to advocate.
Awesome. Could you talk a bit about this event that you're here to talk about?
Yes, I would be more than happy to. So we have the absolute joy and pleasure of hosting Teresa Flores. We are partnering with several other organizations to make this event happen. But she is a human trafficking survivor herself. She's a best-selling author of a book called Slave Across the Street. She's a victim advocate. She's a social worker, so go Teresa, on the same team over here. But she's also the founder of SOAP, which is an organization. The acronym is Save Our Adolescents from Prostitution. And it exists as with very similar objectives: to educate, to advocate, and to spread, to be very proactive in spreading awareness, but also creating tools to distribute in hotels and motels to reach victims of human trafficking in real time.
Okay. What types of human trafficking are most prevalent in our region?
Human trafficking exists in sex and labor forms. Sometimes people experience both. I believe that in our area, sex trafficking is more common. Sometimes I hesitate to say common, as I might prefer to use the word we're aware of. I'm not sure how solid our data is on the answer to that question, but I know that what our organization particularly is aware of in this area is sex trafficking.
Okay. Can you describe some of the coalition's current programs or initiative to combat human trafficking?
Absolutely. So we're sort of in our education phase right now this semester with inviting Teresa Flores to come speak, to give her professional and lived experience as a foundation, as a starting point for our campus and for our community as a whole, to have a very real holistic understanding of what human trafficking is. And next semester in February, we are going to partner with her organization again, with SOAP. And there is an outreach on February 1st at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, where there will be some distribution of makeup wipes and soap bars with the National Human Trafficking Hotline stickers on them. And missing persons posters will also be distributed at that time in hotels, motels. So we'll move into our outreach advocacy phase in that semester.
Okay. You mentioned about how, like you said, the soap and the makeup wipes with the sticker on it, and also bringing attention, how she wants to bring attention to stuff. And we talked about it actually right before about how the truck stop bathrooms with the signs. I personally think that there needs to be a lot more, and not just obviously it needs to be in private places. So like if there's a situation and they're like, someone needs to go to the bathroom and they see it and they can do something about it. It seems to be a very prevalent, like, talked about issue, but also at the same time, there doesn't seem to be equally enough done about it, if that makes sense. Which obviously it's a very touchy topic, and it's a very hard thing to deal with, especially if someone doing the trafficking is bigger, stronger, threatening in any way. But I really like that there's a school event specifically, because it could even be happening here. That is actually awful that it happens in general, but especially here. But like how you mentioned about how hers was, Teresa's story was of her in her own house. It could be happening, hopefully not, but it could be happening here out of like dorms.
Yes.
Which would be awful. But I really hope it's not happening. But I really like that we have a event for it to bring attention to it. Speaking of the event, could you tell us about the event itself a little more? and how long it's been going on for?
For sure. So this is our first time having Teresa come speak. Wow, if we could make that an annual thing, that would be incredible. But the event itself is exactly what you were just touching on. It's Teresa, who is a survivor of human trafficking. And like you said, she was trafficked out of her own home as a teenager in high school. Her parents weren't aware, and it's a story that really stops you in your tracks, because our perception of human trafficking is often entirely inaccurate. Sometimes it's very dramatized. Sometimes we don't have a perception of it at all. And sometimes the perception that we have it's just not accurate. And I think her story does a really, really good job of painting that picture, that it can happen to literally anyone of any age, of any gender, of any demographic background. It can happen out of your own home. And I think that's part of what makes her story so powerful. And that's what she'll be speaking on. However, she also has an incredible wealth of professional experience. She's spent her whole adult life after this being an educator and an advocate and a best-selling author. And her professional perspective on this, combined with her lived experience, is really what makes it interesting to get really a very holistic perspective on human trafficking. So I really encourage anyone who's able to come to this event so that you can cultivate a picture of human trafficking that's accurate, because that helps us understand where to start and where to see it in our environment.
And I'm very grateful for, as I said already, having a
School
speaker
event?
about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And like you said about how it's not very an accurate image of what people think, and like the age range,
Yep.
and especially what people think. Like you mentioned, having the difference between like sexual and labor.
Yep.
And a lot of people get the either what's written in books, which is a very unfortunate thing to write about, but what's written in books or dramatized for TV, or not saying anything about the people that tell their stories, but as it goes through different processes to be on television, they're like, oh, let's change this because it'll get more attention or whatever. And I definitely think people need to have a more accurate understanding of what it is and how it actually looks, because a lot of the time, sometimes you don't even know.
Yep. Absolutely.
Speaking of the event as well, once again, what is a major highlight of this event for you?
For me, truly, it's having the honor of being with Teresa. It is incredibly difficult to decide what empowerment means to you, what healing means to you, when you are a survivor of anything. And for Teresa to be a survivor of human trafficking and feel empowered and to use her story as one of hope and healing is a really beautiful thing. It's a gift that for her, that's what it looked like. And I'm really grateful to just get to be in the presence of that, and to be reminded of those things, that's a choice that we have with each of our individual pain. You know, how does it look like to heal? What makes us feel empowered, and how can we use that for other people? I can't wait to have dinner with her.
It is very wonderful that she is coming. Obviously, talking about things that have happened to you it's great to give other people information, but also her talking about her healing process and how it's something you can get over, and how it's something that you can recover from, as awful as it is. I really like that that's a part of it, and not just, this is human trafficking, this is what it looks like, this is how to avoid it, this is what happened, the end. And like, she goes further into it than what usually is seen. What makes you personally so passionate about getting information out to people about human trafficking?
Because I view human trafficking, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, truck stuff is a great example. Human trafficking occurs in the intersection of many different social issues. It just exists in the middle of it all. I think as somebody who's about to go into the field as a licensed social worker, it's a great place to have knowledge and understanding, so that I can see it, but also that I can work in whatever agency that I find myself in, to help create policies, even within organizations that are sensitive to the fact that this exists, and help create a professional climate wherever I work that acknowledges the intersection of these things, so agencies can be more proactive. But on a personal note, there are many people in my life who are survivors of sexual violence of some kind, and I just have kind of a feeling in my gut that is just really strong and connected with issues of sexual violence, because I've seen how pervasive that harm can be and how difficult it is to heal. And I've found it an honor to walk alongside people as they heal. And I don't see why we can't do that on a macro level as a community. So I want to be a part of that.
That's wonderful. Are there any other events throughout the year that are like this event that we spoke about? Well, the two events.
The two events. Not to my knowledge so far. The kind of follow-up to this that we have on the books, perhaps there could be more if there's interest and if people come join our organization, is that event in February, the SOAP project, the outreach in New Orleans. And I do highly encourage, sign up. Even if you don't come to a single meeting, sign up for CAT so you stay informed and can share the information with other people, even if you don't intend to, be there for every little thing. Sign up at USMCA-HD.
So, wrapping back around, sorry, this is jumping around a little bit.
You're totally fine. Love it.
Back on information for everyone else, not the event. For anyone who suspects human trafficking in their community, what steps would they have to take to go about reporting the issue?
To report it? So, there's a few routes that you can go. Consulting the national hotline would probably be a great place to start, just to truly get a consultation. I'm concerned about this. How do I report this? They may have some resources, but also just going to your local law enforcement and being like, look, I think this is sketchy. This doesn't sit right with me. If it's a child, you can, or a vulnerable adult, you can just report via CPS and start an investigation that way.
Okay. For school stuff, for people listening, we also have the Title IX group.
Love them.
I'm not sure about every dorm, but they do have stickers in the dorm room door, like the bathroom doors, that say like pregnancy issues, domestic issues, human trafficking concern. And for school, obviously, please contact law enforcement. But also if it's something specifically on school, Title IX is like closed office. You have to like check in and you have to have an appointment and everything, unless it's an emergency. So that is in the Cook Library. That is a safe place that you can go to if you are worried for any small reason, even if you're like slightly concerned.
Absolutely.
It's a safe place, as well as the UPD office, especially the UPD office.
There's also the student counseling services. And I will say also the Schaefer Center is a sexual violence crisis center that's like you could walk to it from here. It's right down the road. And they do really excellent work with crisis intervention for multiple things, but specifically sexual violence. So if that's where you find yourself with concerns as well, and if maybe you have concerns about human trafficking for yourself, like go ahead and consult. They'll have resources as well.
And places like this are not going to be like, oh, well, that's not what's happening. Get out of here or something. They're probably going to look into it and say, okay, what is making you think this, and make sure you're not feeling like you're crazy or something for thinking this. Thank you so much for being here today. That was a weird, stop.
You're good. You're so good.
Before fully stopping, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I guess one last thing, one other resource that I can think of is actually someone who's partnering with us to put this event on, but the Domestic Abuse Family Shelter in town does great work with human trafficking. I don't know for sure if they have services directly for that, but it's a great place to go if you're concerned, and maybe if you meet criteria for some of their services. But the last thing I would say is just please go to @USMCAHT on Instagram if you want to sign up for the event. That just gives us a head count, and it helps us understand who to contact in the future who might be interested in similar events. Please sign up for CAT. Like I said, it's community and student people who are welcome. It's really a beautiful thing to be a part of, even if it's just your name on a membership roll. Sometimes people feel like that doesn't count, and it does count. It shows that you are interested. There are community members who care, and this is something we should all care about. It occurs in restaurants that we go to daily, hotels. It could be in our neighborhood. We might know somebody in our class who might have experienced this, survived this, is going through it. It's something we should all be concerned with. It's just way too close to ignore. So please, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. I'm so grateful to have been here, and I hope to see as many of you on Tuesday as I can.
Thank you so much. Coming up, we've got Subi Lama reporting on Ed Young's presentation at the University Forum.
For Southern Miss Student Media Center, I'm Subi Lama. Science journalist Ed Young came to Bennett Auditorium as part of the Honors Forum Speaker Series. Young is a former staff writer at The Atlantic and recipient of the Pulitzer Prize. During his forum presentation, Young discussed themes from his 2022 New York Times bestseller and Andrew Carnegie Medal-winning book, An Immense World: How Animal Senses Reveal the Hidden Realms Around Us. Here's what he had to say.
There's a chapter in the book about pain and how animals experience pain and how many of them experience, maybe if not exactly the same kind of sensation that we experience and describe as painful, then something akin to that. I think that is one of many axes that we should consider when thinking about issues like animal welfare, research, whether we eat animals or not. Right? These are complicated issues, and I'm not going to pretend or offer simple answers to any of them. The other piece of it that you asked about, our attitudes to the natural world, I think is a little bit more straightforward.
As the world continues to face global challenges that require scientific understanding, voices like Young's play a crucial role. SM2, Subi Lama.
Thank you for listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. We are thankful for Justin Ware, our audio engineer, and Michaela Williams, our film producer, for keeping this bird soaring. We especially want to thank our program director, Shania Williams, our executive producer, Owari, and our assistant producer, Adeline Fields, as well as our general manager, Dr. Martin. We also want to thank our guest today, Tessa. That's all for today on Southern Miss Radio. Thank you for listening, and remember, fly, eagle, fly. I'm your host, Abby Buzegard, signing off. Stay creepy.
Sponsorship comes from Southern Beverage, your local Michelob Ultra distributor. Michelob Ultra has significantly fewer carbs and calories per serving if you are watching those in your diet. You can reach Southern Beverage by phone at 601-268-9111, or you can find them on the internet at southernbeverage.com. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri, and Southern Beverage ask you to please drink responsibly.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got a lot of food in this country, so how are 17 million kids in America struggling with hunger? That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to hungry kids who need it. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
To help solve hunger in Mississippi, contact Mississippi Food Network or visit feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.